welcome to Vlogmas day 16. Day 17. Gosh, day 17. Wow. I thought I was finished yesterday, but I've got some time today, so I'm just going to do this really quick roundup of last week's Game of Wool, episode 7, I believe it was, which is the semi-final. So for those of you who don't know, Game of Wool is a British TV programme. It airs on a Sunday night at 8 o'clock, I think, on Channel 4, and it's a game show trying to find, in quotes, Britain's best knitter, which is a complete misnomer because they do crochet as well. So push that to one side and just, you need to get over that fact if you're going to enjoy this programme. So as I said, it's a semi-final week and there are 4 knitters left. So we've got Lydia, Holger, Isaac and Ailsa are left. Tom's outfit this week is an interesting crocheted flowery top. He's wearing like a sort of skin coloured vest under it, and it's all flowers, kind of quite open work. It's quite pretty actually, which is probably the wrong term to use for a bloke's top, but it is quite pretty. And then they announced that this week the group challenge is the first. So normally the solo challenge is first, but this week they're doing the group challenge first. And the group challenge is to repurpose charity shop iron jumpers into a catwalk worthy dress. So the teams are split up with Holger and Lydia versus Isaac and Ailsa. They have to use existing scraps from haberdashery and they're each given 2 jumpers. The judges will be looking carefully at execution and finishing and how they're seamed and put together, and they have to fit the model perfectly. So they're provided with a model for this challenge, and it's judged blind as normal, and they've got 10 hours. So we're quickly given a bit of a history of iron jumpers, which actually are Irish. I didn't know that. I always thought they were Scottish, but apparently they were first knitted off the west coast of Ireland. So there you go, who knew that? And as I said before, each team gets 2 jumpers, 2 charity shop jumpers, and they can use the haberdashery for offcuts of fabrics and scraps. Judges are also looking at the design to see what they add in themselves, and they're looking for boldness and bravery. And they do want to see that everyone has a voice, and that's alluded to in the editing of this programme very much so. So first of all, we go to Ailsa and Isaac, who are struggling with ideas. There's kind of like another deathly silence. They're very fond of their deathly silence in this programme. So it's kind of like, oh, have you got any ideas? Have you got any ideas? And no one speaks for a little while. And then Isaac says, what about we take off the sleeves and the neck and add in a new neck to make it a halter neck dress? And then Ailsa says, what we have to have a skirt for it, and the skirt could be long at the back and short at the front, like a sort of mini dress type thing. So they use the jumper bodies to create the bottoms and the tops. They put in a lace up back in the top of it, and as Ailsa says, it's the business in the front part, in the front, party at the back. We see Isaac unravelling loads of thread, using a wool winder as well, actually, to get some lovely purple yarn to knit with. So they've repurposed an old jumper, I guess, from the haberdashery, and he's unravelling the yarn from it to reuse it. So I guess it's repurposing week. They never actually say that, but I guess it's repurposing week. We then go to Lydia and Holger has lots of ideas. He's kind of very excited about doing this and doing that and doing the other thing. And Lydia's kind of going, can't get a word in edgeways. He wants to do big balloon sleeves from the front and back pieces. And he wants the sleeves to become the bottom of the dress. And he wants to put in some godets, which are like, if I'm correct, sewn in triangular panels to give it more flair. And he's getting very excited about all of this. And then Lydia manages to chip in with, yes, but fit has to be important. Don't forget that. So as I said, the original jumper sleeves become the bottom, and the balloon sleeves of their dress are made from the top, front and back of the jumper. Lydia then is interviewed and says that Holger has better design ideas, but she's a faster knitter. And Tom asks whose idea was what, and seems to spark a bit of tension between them, with Lydia going, look, a lot of this is Holger's idea, but I'm not just going to sit here and say, yes, Holger, anything you say, Holger. So she's kind of standing up for herself a bit. She's working on the balloon sleeves, so she's obviously had to pick up live stitches, and then she's had to, I think it's on the cuff. She's picked up the live stitches, and then she's trying to knit them in to narrow it down to make the cuff, because obviously balloon sleeves very, very big because it's the front or back. So she's working on that, and obviously getting the tension is quite tricky because she's got to match the tension. So there's a seamless blend between the old knitting and her knitting. So that's quite tricky. Lydia is then asked what winning would mean, and she says it would mean more opportunities for her, maybe for the yarn business or designing, or maybe she'd be the next Alison Hammond. So maybe she's going to be Tom's co-host next year, and as she says, watch this space, so you never know. That would be great, wouldn't it, if they did that? I mean, obviously she's joking, but imagine if they did it, that would be brilliant. I think she'd be really good at it as well, because she's very camera worthy, I find. So we're at the halfway point, and Holger and Lydia is taking shape on the dummy, and he's working away on his knitted panels for the Godet things. And Lydia points out if she wasn't on their team, it wouldn't get finished despite her lack of design input. And Holger agrees with this. He explains what a Godet is, and Tom goes, "Good day, mate." Tom's puns are just like, oh my God. Meanwhile, Ilse and Isaac are still working away on the body of theirs. Isaac has worked in the halter neck, so he's attached on the purple yarn and has made a purple kind of neck collar thing for the halter neck bit of his. And he's now doing the lace-up panel at the back of the top. Ilse now says the party at the back is more of a sophisticated party because she's got rid of some of the flouncy bits they were doing. They've changed their design on the fly quite late in the day and are asked if they consider this to be risky. And obviously they do consider it to be risky because that's why they're asking, because they consider it to be risky. So it's the final hour, models are brought in. Isaac and Ilse are not sitting right and might need sewing on. Holger is still sewing on the Godets. He's getting a bit stressy actually. But then the challenge is over and it's time for the dresses to be modelled. And Tom says, "Aaron, you glad that's over?" I said, "Aren't you glad that's over?" Oh, Tom, dearie me. So the first dress to be judged is Isaac and Ilse's. They say the fit is good, but it's a bit bulky around the neck. They say the contrast colour works really well and the lace up at the back gives a good fit. And so the top is very successful. However, they don't like the obvious sewing on of the skirt wing bit, so the kind of skirt panels are sewn onto the hips with big obvious stitches. And it's meant to look obvious, that's obviously a design choice, but they don't like that. They say that the dress as a whole doesn't shout as much and needs more wow, more impact. The second dress gets the la music for Holger and Lydia. Di loves it. Not crying though. But she said the sleeves and body swapping over are very clever. She said the stitch reduction of the cuffs is very clever. And the strong colour Godets are excellent. So she's really happy with all of that. So obviously it's judging time then, and she gives first place to Holger and Lydia and says that it has impact for the catwalk. So their dress is like a sort of tartany number with these knitted Godets and knitted sleeves and panels in the bottom. Ilse and Isaac are not, they say it's not the finish they expect in the semi-final, so it's okay, but it's not, again, wow or impact. So then it's time for the solo challenge. And the solo challenge this week is to make a refashioned bag. So again, it's repurposing, isn't it? So the material has to be repurposed. They have to make their own fabric to use as a yarn. They have to make their own yarn, use out of an appropriate fabric. And they have to they're looking for structure and stitch choices. It must function as a bag, therefore it needs to be strong, and the handles must be attached well, and they will be testing it with weights. So we first go to Ilse, and remember this is the solo challenge, and Ilse's using old gym leggings to make an active bag for active people, made from the stuff that active people wear. She's crocheting her bag and there's lots of stretch in it, so she's a bit concerned about that, obviously with the weight test coming up. Holger is cutting up old t-shirts and he's going for a festival bohemian look bag. It's crochet as well, and he's adding fringing and a big crochet button, and the judges seem to be happy with the strength of that. They can run and have a quick look and say yes, it seems quite strong, so they're quite happy with that. Lydia's using wax print fabric, which is an African material, and it's tricky because, like cotton, it's got no stretch in it, and she's doing it's called a linen stitch, and apparently I don't know what that is in knitting, but apparently you slip stitch every other stitch, so apparently essentially you're knitting every stitch twice, so it's very slow and it's very hard work on your hands because there's no give in the yarn. Again, the judges like the strength of that as well. Isaac hasn't even started on his crochet. He's 3 hours behind. He's still creating yarn. He's cutting up t-shirts as well, but he's doing it in a very precise manner. It took him much longer than he thought. So Ilse's bag, the judges query whether it'll be strong enough, and Ilse says she's taking the stretch out of it as she goes. So she's trying to stretch her yarn and crochet very tight to get the stretch out of the fabric before she knits it up. Because she's crocheting hers before she crochets it up. Isaac is crocheting his. Lydia's the only one that's knitting hers. So it's at the halfway point and the body of the bag should be complete. Lydia is on track, but she says she's knackered from all this working of her needles. Ailsa is stressing about cutting up her trousers to add strength to the fabric. And she has the biggest workout these leggings I've seen is the one she's doing right now. Tom suggests doing some hand yoga, which is so cringe. It's like a real, oh my God. You think his puns are bad? That's just major cringe. Makes them do arms out, heads, shoulders, knees, toes. Oh, just cringe. Anyway, it's the final minutes and some people are on their handles or straps, but Ailsa is still hoping tight tension will give her some help. She says she's on a sugly peg. So a sugly peg is a Scottish phrase meaning you're uncertain of your status in the competition. So sugly means like wobbly, and I guess a peg is what you're hanging on. So I'm not Scottish, but I use the word sugly all the time, so I think it's a great word. And it's the last hour. Holger has to do his fringing and lining. He's lining his bag as well. And Isaac won't do it. He's doing a bag that's like meant to be like a humbug sweetie. So it's black and white stripy, and then it's got these kind of lace sticking out bits for the kind of wrappers of the sweets. But he's decided he hasn't got time to do those. So his design has become very basic. Ailsa's adding a water bottle slop, but seems to think that she's been written off. She's not very hopeful at all. So Lydia and Holger have both finished when Tom calls the time is up and it's time for the judging. So Lydia's bag, they love the linen stitch. They say it's amazingly strong and it looks like a woven bag, which they really like. The handles are built in and it's a nice fashion accessory, and it does the weight test and it holds up 2 kilograms of yarn, although it's yarn with weights now, obviously, really well. Holger's is a festival design, and they say it's lovely and it feels like a very luxurious bag. It's a lovely, interesting shape. So he did the shape by doing like a slip stitch, then a double crochet, then a treble crochet, then back down again, kind of to widen it and then narrow it again. So he did that kind of like I think it was vertical, so the bag got wider in the middle and narrow at the bottom. His handles are built in as well, and he did a lovely crochet button on it. Apparently the strap had some woven fabric inside it. I'm not quite sure how that worked. They showed a picture of it. I didn't understand it. But anyway, they said that gives it no stretch, so it's very strong and it passes the weight test very well. Ailsa, they love this sort of circular idea of activewear material being used for an active person's bag, but they say the construction hasn't quite worked. It looks very lumpy and bumpy due to lots of different materials being used. So obviously she'd used lots of different types of leggings, some of which were thinner and thicker. So it's very lumpy looking. It's the first one not to do well at the strength test, and they hold it by the straps and they're really stretching badly, so they have to double the straps over, so it doesn't do so well at all. Isaac's, they say, is a great idea for this humbug bag, but of course, as per usual, Isaac ran out of time. That's one of his shortcomings. And the shortcomings of his bag are that there was no lace panelly bits at the side, and he also finally managed to not put in the zip that he wanted to put in. And they say that those shortcomings are very noticeable. It passes the strength test though, so that's good. So then we come to the question of who's at risk. And obviously they say Isaac's at risk because of his unfinished bag, or Ailsa, who they say has lost her sparkling design element and lost her way a wee bit, because I think she got the first badge in the first week for her tank top, I think. They then asked who's up for best knitter, and they say that Lydia and Holger's long dress was amazing, but that Holger was responsible for the design, but both of them did very well in the bag challenge, so it could be either of them. And then it's time to announce the winner and the person who's being cast off. And the big knitter this week is Holger, who's getting a 3rd badge. And Tom says, "Constitulations," and then says, "Here's your badge." And Holger goes, "Thank you." Just so funny. And cast off is Isaac, poor old Isaac. There are big hugs all round, and Isaac's asked if he's had a good time, and he says he's had a wonderful time. He's really enjoyed the experience, and he's very sad to be going, but he realises it's his time. And so that's the end of that episode, and we're through to the final next week. So in the final next week, episode 8, there will be Holger, Lydia and Ailsa, the 3 of them battling it out. And I wonder if they'll do what they do in Sewing Bee and get old contestants back to help. That would be interesting, wouldn't it? So next week is the last episode. I don't know when I'll get time to review that, because I'm obviously going to be away in Northern Ireland when that's on. So I might have time when I'm over there, I might not. I'm not sure. We'll see how it goes. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this very quick run through. I appreciate it's very quick today, but I'm going out to the pantomime in about 10 minutes with my son, so I wanted to try and get it done quickly before we go. We're going to see Jack and the Beanstalk in High Wycombe, which is in Berkshire or Buckinghamshire. Not sure, but it's close to here anyway. So anyway, I'll leave you with that. Thanks again for watching. Hope you had a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow for day 18 of Vlogmas. Is it day 18 tomorrow? Yes, day 18. Bye.